the celebration of war. Take the world!
What's up guys, welcome back. If you enjoyed this video, do us a solid and smash the like button, and if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. So today we're going to be covering my favorite build across all Fromsoft games, ranging all the way back to Dark Souls. It just so happens to be the consistently strongest Elden Ring Faith build as well, the Pyromancer. I recommend starting a Prophet. Let's look at the stats. Even though 90% of this build is from a range, I still like to stay at 50 Vigor. And this will also give a lot of the new players a better buffer. I actually pushed all the way to 30 Mind on this build for some more quality of life. I know you guys are going to want to spam spells, and this will allow you to do that. If you feel you have too much FP, feel free to put some of that in a Vigor. At level 150, we're taking Faith organically to 70 and using items to push it to 80. This allows us to hit the major soft cap on the seal that we're using. And this also allows us to hit the final soft cap on fire damage scaling on our weapon. Then we're going 25 Endurance, which helps us hit our 51 Poise breakpoint for PvE. For those of you unfamiliar, this allows you to take a normal attack without your attack being interrupted. 51 is your go-to breakpoint for PvE. And we're not touching the other stats in this build, except for Strength and Dexterity, where we're putting just enough to use our weapon. Now, if you're planning on taking this build into multiplayer with your friends all around the world, Surfshark VPN can make that even more enjoyable. Now, I personally use it in multiplayer online games in order to reduce the lag in game by connecting to servers closer to the countries that my friends live in. And now you can not only do the same, but also get a free 3 months with my promo code. Now, signing up was surprisingly simple. All I had to do was select whether I was on a computer or mobile. Then I was prompted to download the Surfshark application on my computer. I created a logon with my email. And that was all there was to it. Then I got to select the server that I wanted to connect to. To get started, I just chose something local in the US, like New York. But then if I wanted to hop in a game with a buddy from the UK, all I had to do was click the United Kingdom. It took about 5 seconds and I was ready to go. So now you too can hop in and play Elden Ring or Diablo 4 with your friends from other countries on the same server. And the benefits don't end there. It's more important than ever to protect your identity online right now. And Surfshark does a great job of doing that for you as well. Then there are other cool perks to using Surfshark as well. Things like getting access to Netflix catalogs for 15 different countries. So now if you're in Europe but you really want to watch that show from the US catalog, you can. And the list of benefits just really goes on. And you get all of these benefits for an incredible deal. The pricing on the 24-month plan is just phenomenal. I'd recommend heading over and purchasing it right now. And when you do, be sure to either scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description and use my promo code for 3 free months. Surfshark is your VPN solution for all your devices with 24/7 support. You really have nothing to lose. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You should definitely go try it out. Now let's get back to the build and talk weapons. In this build, there's a great balance between traditional weapon use and casting incantations with your seals. Now for the sake of making your playthrough more enjoyable and keeping your weight down, we're omitting the jellyfish shield. So in your main hand, you're going to be using the Erd Tree seal. This seal has the highest faith scaling in the game. So at 80 faith, it has a 353 incantation scaling, and you can pick this up as ground loot in Volcano Manor. Now in your offhand, you're going to want the giant seal. You can pick this up in the Giant Conquering Hero's Grave over in the mountaintops of the Giants. Having this equipped boosts Fire Monk and Giant's Flame incantations by 20%. And if you can get your hand on a second one of these, then run 2 of these instead of the Erd Tree seal. Now for your weapon, you want to go with the Blasphemous Blade. This is one of the strongest weapons in the entire game, and obviously it scales very well in a Faith Fire build. Just head to Volcano Manor and kill Rykard. Then you can use his remembrance to purchase the Blasphemous Blade at the round table. There's a couple really cool aspects of the Blasphemous Blade that I want to cover really quick. So the skill on this weapon is called the Taker's Flames, and it's one of the strongest in Elden Ring. It does absolutely absurd fire damage that scales purely off of your faith. Now the weapon itself does physical and fire damage. The physical damage is going to scale off of your strength and dexterity, and the fire damage is going to scale off of your faith. Now, even if this weapon's in your offhand, anytime you kill an enemy, you get 4% of your HP back, plus an additional 40 HP. Now, anytime you hit an enemy with Taker's Flames, you're healed for 10% of your HP, plus a flat 150 HP. Now, the bread and butter to a Pyromancy build is going to be the Pyromancy Incantations. I wanted the ones that did the most damage and also felt the best to use. At the very top of that list is Burn O Flame. Creates a bunch of pillars of fire around you. You actually increase the number of pillars by charging the spell. Now to get this, you just need to kill the fire giant and take that remembrance and trade it in at the round table. And this is the strongest pyromancy in the game. Flame of the Fel God is really cool because it has a unique mechanic. Creates a massive fireball that slowly hovers towards your enemy and then explodes and also does damage over time. You can get this extremely early by doing the Everjail as soon as you get into Liurnia. So just cast this and launch an oil pot while it's on the way. Probably my favorite incantation in Elden Ring is Giant's Flame Take Thee. To get this, head to the Guardian's Garrison and grab the Giant's Prayer Book. Turn that into your favorite Turtle Sorcerer and you're good to go. This spell is chargeable, it has a very high damage, and it has a knockdown AoE effect. O Flame is a very strong melee ranged, very fast incantation. Just grab the Fire Monk's Prayer Book in the camp in Liurnia, hand it over to your favorite Turtle Sorcerer, and then you can buy O Flame. This spell has very good damage to FP ratio, and it's always my go-to for general exploration. Now, if you already hit the Guardian's Garrison and grab the Giant's Prayer Book for Giant's Flame Take Thee, then you have access to Flamefall upon them as well. This is a really cool AoE pyromancy, and this launches out a bunch of fireballs, and if you charge it, all those fireballs will explode in a giant AoE zone of destruction. And finally, if you want to be a Pyromancer sniper, then head on over and kill this Teardrop Scarab for Frenzied Burst. This is another chargeable spell that does massive damage, but the big difference with this spell is the range on it is phenomenal, letting you kill enemies from a safe distance. As usual for armor, the goal is to look as good as possible while also hitting that 51 breakpoint for poise and getting as much defense as possible. Legs, you're going to want to go with Blide's Greaves. These give 17 poise, and in my opinion, it's one of the best looking sets in the game, if not the best, as well as one of the highest poise to weight ratios. For gauntlets, we're going with Blide's Gauntlets for the same exact reasons. They also add 6 poise to the build. And then, huge surprise here on the chest armor, we're going to go with Blide's Armor. This gives a whopping 28 poise, and it's like the Veteran's Armor, but to me it just looks a lot better. It's not as big and clunky looking. Now, to get Blide's Armor, you have to do Ronnie's questline. And unfortunately, we have to kill Blide at the end of the questline to get this armor, which sucks because he's a really cool NPC. But when he goes crazy and you kill him, he'll drop the entire set. But it's totally worth it. This set is amazing, and you get 51 poise just for the first 3 pieces that we mentioned, giving you a ton of flexibility for your helmet. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Ronnie's questline, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. All you need to do is go over and meet her in Ronnie's Rise. Then you'll have to go kill Radahn, and then she'll send you down to pick up the Fingerslayer Blade. Bring that back and give it to her in Ronnie's Rise. She'll thank you, and then she'll move. Then you head down and kill the Baleful Shadow. Head over to the Academy and grab the Dark Moon Ring. Head back down and kill Estelle. And then Crazy Blide should be outside Ronnie's Rise. Since you're already at 51 poise, you can use any helmet that you want. I personally just opted for the Black Knife Hood because I think that it's the best looking helmet in the game, especially paired with this armor. If you're interested in picking up the Black Knife Hood, all you have to do is go to the backside of Ordina, and it's under a staircase there. And this gives you an additional 6 poise to the build, so we end up at 57 poise, which really doesn't do much because we're not at another breakpoint yet. So again, totally flexible, wear what helmet you want to. Now, as with most builds, a lot of the power of the build is going to come from your talismans. And depending on whether you're using spells or skills, we're going to rotate in a few. The first of which will be one you'll always be using, and that's the Fire Scorpion Charm. This is just at the top of the fort, hidden over a little broken wall that you can jump over. And this will increase all of your fire damage by 12%, but increases your physical damage taken by 10%. I would always be using this. Another talisman I would have on at all times with this build is the Ritual Sword Talisman. All you need to do is kill Gillica and head into the room right behind her, and it's in a chest. This increases all damage by 10% while at full HP, and that obviously pairs really well with the constant healing you're getting from the Blasphemous Blade. Now, a short distance away is an Everjail where you can get the Godfrey icon. You need a Stone Sword key, and then you just need to go into the Everjail and kill Godfroy. And the Godfrey icon is going to increase the damage of all charged spells and skills by 15%. This is another must-have for the build. Now, during the times where you're using mostly incantations, you're going to want to use the Phlox Canvas Talisman. This increases incantation damage by 8%. You can get this really early by killing Commander O'Neill, giving the unallied Gold Needle to Millicent, then immediately killing Millicent after reloading the area, and then going and killing Gowry. He'll drop the Flux Canvas Talisman, allowing you to skip a huge quest, but keep in mind that you will miss out on that quest. If you find yourself using more weapon skills than incantations, you want to be using the Shard of Alexander. You can pick this up in Crumbling Fire Missoula after doing Alexander's questline and accepting his challenge to a one-on-one duel and defeating him. This will increase all your weapon skill damage by 15%. I have a one-shot tutorial later in the video, and that'll show you which buffs to use to completely maximize your damage with the build, but right now I just want to cover a couple buffs that I highly recommend. Now you can replace this with the Commander Standard for 5% more damage, but Golden Vow is a great choice for Faith users. It increases all damage by 15% and damage negation by 10%, and the fact that it lasts for 80 seconds is the main reason that I chose it. You're also going to want to head over to the Frenzy Flame Tower and grab Howl of Shabriri. Howl of Shabriri buffs all damage by 25%, and you can pick this up by simply climbing the tower and grabbing it out of a chest. While you're here, if you're sick of Frenzy buildup in the area, just climb up to the top of the tower and kill the enemies up there. In the northwestern part of Caelid, there's a Putrid Avatar that you can kill for the Flame Shroud and Crack tier. When used in your flask, this increases your fire damage by 20% for 3 minutes. This should always be in your flask, and use this for tough enemies and bosses. Should be easy to get since the Putrid Avatar is weak to fire. One of the very first things I do when starting this character is go and grab the Faith Knot Crystal tier. This increases your faith by 10 for 3 minutes. Now this is obviously very strong early on, but it's also going to let us hit that 80 soft cap for faith, and therefore it's going to save us a lot of stat points. If you've pushed the build to level 160 or above and you've maxed faith organically, then head over to Eastern Caelid and kill the Putrid Avatar there by Fort Ferreth, and grab the Stone Barb Crack tier. This will raise the ability of your spells and skills to break enemy stances by 30%, at which point you can then follow up with a critical. There's actually a couple consumables in this build, one of which we can use to really ramp up our damage. And I know it's annoying to farm materials, but these ones are actually really easy to farm and it's totally worth it. What I'm talking about is the oil pot. You can actually buy this recipe from a merchant really early on, and hitting an enemy with one of these will increase the next instance of fire damage that you do by 50%. Doesn't sound that crazy, but trust me, it really is when you stack it with other buffs. Now if you're looking to add something else cool to the build that you don't see every day that scales really well, check out the Giant's Flame Fire Pot. You can pick up the crafting recipe right on your way to the Scorpion Charm. The damage scales off of faith and can actually reach 702 damage per pot thrown. Now if you're still here, that means you're enjoying the video, and if you haven't smashed the like button yet, you should do so now. And if you're looking for a written checklist version guide of this build, all of that stuff is over on our Patreon. So whether you're just looking to support the channel a little bit or you're looking for access to those custom guides, the link for the Patreon will be at the end of this video on a clickable element or in the description and pinned comment below. Also, be sure to leave your comments in the comment section below and let us know what build you want to see as a one-shot build next, or other ideas for guides or builds that you'd like to see. For the example one-shot buff routine, we're going to use Morgott. We're going to start off with Golden Vow since it lasts for 80 seconds, and then we're going to drink our flask with the Faith Knot tier and the Flame Shroud and Crack tier. We use these first because of how long they last, so time won't be a factor. Then we're going to build up Madness until we proc our Black Dumpling helmet. And then the pro move here is to get distracted by your children so that you're standing in the Madness even longer than you have to be. That's definitely not a necessary step. Then you're going to need to refill your FP with a flask and change your helmet to the Mushroom Crown. Then cast Howl of Shabriri. And then at this point switch to your weapon if you plan on using that instead of an incantation. Use another flask to fill up your FP. And then we're going to use Rope Fetid Pots to self-poison to proc the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation and Mushroom Crown. Switch to the White Mask and Lord of Blood's Exaltation, and use Seppuku to proc both of those. And then switch to your Red Feathered Branch Sword. Use a neutralizing bolus so you don't die from poison. Switch to get your oil pot ready and send it. Want to say thank you to all the patrons for helping make this possible. Keep an eye out the next couple weeks over there. I've got something really cool coming for you guys. Before you guys head to the next video, don't forget to go check out Surfshark. And be sure to use the link in the description with code TitusTV. Then let me know in the comments about your experience.